Well, the football has been turgid since he's come in. They've not actually improved as a team, and it was almost inevitable that he had to be sacked.
They've really started to pick up. They're creating chances from every avenue, set pieces, open play. They've got players who can carve teams open, and I think they can. I think they've learned from last season, and they can sustain this.
I wasn't expecting to, be challenging for the top six this season, but I was expecting them to have a solid mid-table season. The way they're going at the moment, I'm very concerned.
The amount of chances he creates, his set piece delivery, the numbers he produces, his ability to take on opposition fullbacks. He's got the whole package, and he's going to go very, very far.
But I don't think anyone expected him to be the player that he's been this season. He's been remarkable. He's probably been the best player overall.
I actually think they'll set the points record this season. I don't think there are going to be any teams near them.
Hello and welcome to the Stopwatch, a championship talk show with a little twist. We're Ryan and Justin from the Second Tier podcast, and the folks at FansBet have given us 5 topics to discuss, each with a 2-minute timer. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Justin, what's your reaction to Forest's decision to sack Chris Hughton? Was it justified, and what or who did they get in next?
2 wins in 22, 10 wins over this whole tenure. I think it was justified to sack Chris Hughton. The style of football hasn't been good by any means. They don't play an attacking style of football. They're not very good defensively either, especially this season. And individuals, have they got better under his coaching? No, they haven't. In terms of who they get in, who they appoint next, it's a mystery. It's been a bit of a nightmare for managers to come in and take the club forward, because no one's been able to do it yet.
Yeah, well, the football has been turgid since he's come in. They've not actually improved as a team, and it was almost inevitable that he had to be sacked. But Chris Hughton's not a bad manager, is he? He's been a success at pretty much every club. So my instinct is that this is a problem with Forest as a football club, as opposed to Chris Hughton and the squad.
Yeah, completely right. Obviously, I think they could have been better under Hughton, but there's a lot wrong at Forest that needs to be addressed first before they appoint a new manager.
100%. Who's coming in then? Steve Cooper has been linked with the job. I believe he's the favourite at the moment.
Plays conservative football, almost in the same mould as Hughton. Is it the right choice? I don't know. There are definitely worse managers out there. He's got good pedigree, but will it work out? Time will tell.
Yeah, I'm not sure his style of football will exactly excite Forest fans, considering they were pretty miserable under Chris Hughton, but he's a very good manager at this level. John Terry has also been linked with the role, obviously very inexperienced. Is he better than Chris Hughton? No. So if they manage to get him in, that'd be a bit of a weird choice. But yes, whoever comes in has got one hell of a job on their hands, and I'm not sure things are actually going to get any better. Justin, what's our next topic?
Well, after the first 7 games of the season, which side have been the biggest underachievers so far?
I feel like Forest is such an obvious answer here that I'm going to avoid saying them. I'm going to go with Barnsley, a side who I don't think many people are expecting to replicate what they did last season, but recently they have looked so poor, especially going forwards. They've barely laid a glove on some of the teams they've come up against, but I've only picked up they've managed to still pick up results, actually, but at the same time, the results have not matched the performances, because the performances have been particularly poor. Would you agree?
I'd agree to an extent. I don't think they've been a big underachiever. I think their performances have been poor. They can improve, but they've had a big transition. I think it's unfair to label them big underachievers. I'd lean towards Sheffield United, who have a big squad, a big budget, a lot of big players, and they just haven't got going yet. They took a while to score some goals. They were conceding goals, and it seems to have improved a little bit over the last couple of games, but there's still a long way to go for them.
Well, they brought in the new players, haven't they? And they seem to have made an instant impact, particularly Morgan Gibbs-White, who is looking a real player, as we all know that he is. But because they've started to improve recently, that's why I was edging more towards Barnsley, who I admit I wasn't expecting to, be challenging for the top 6 this season, but I was expecting them to have a solid mid-table season. The way they're going at the moment, I'm very concerned about them. So that's why I'd go with them. Justin, looking up the table, who do you reckon will be the surprise package of the season? After 7 games, who looks like they'll be the dark horse?
Well, I'm looking at Huddersfield, who are currently sitting 6th, and It might be a bit of a surprise. Obviously, they're a surprise package. That's the whole point of the question. But their style of football that they've managed to graft out after such a disastrous game against Fulham and even Preston, it was really poor. They've really started to pick up. They're creating chances from every avenue, set pieces, open play. They've got players who can carve teams open, and I think they can. I think they've learned from last season, and they can sustain this form for a lot longer than they did last season.
Yeah, I entirely agree. Huddersfield have been a surprise package this season. Whether they can sustain it over the season, I'm going to wait and see before I put my hat over there. But when you look at every single player in that squad, they have got better individually, haven't they? Especially the likes of Josh Karoma. Sorba Thomas is someone who's just come out of nowhere. And then defensively, that's the most important thing, because they were a bit of a mess at the back, weren't they, last season? But now they look a hell of a lot more solid there.
Yeah, quite right. And it's just very hard to get away from that formula. And as I say, Corberan, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, you say Huddersfield, I'm going to throw Coventry at you, Justin, because Coventry were a side that I think many people had to finish in or around the relegation zone this season, but they've looked absolutely phenomenal so far. Victor Gyökeres up front has been stealing the headlines because he's probably been the best striker in the Championship so far, and he's just a man. His confidence is flowing out of him. It's wonderful to see, especially after he was been so unremarkable so far for Coventry prior to this season. Callum O'Hare, very exciting player, but most importantly, they're another side who look much more solid at the back compared to how they did last season.
But do they score enough goals? That's the question that I have to ask. Yes, defensively they look good, but are they scoring enough? Are they creating enough? Probably creating enough, but have they got the players to put those chances away on the regular?
They've got Waghorn, they've got Matty Godden, they've got strikers in the pipeline who can come in if Gyökeres' form does dip. At the moment, you've got to say they are scoring enough goals, because look where they are on the table. They're absolutely flying at the moment. I fancy them to continue that form more than Huddersfield, personally, but we'll wait and see on that one. Justin, next topic, please.
In terms of players, who's been the star of the season? Has anybody surprised you?
Yes, 100%, John Swift. I expected him to, come into this Reading team and be an important player this season, especially now that they've lost Michael Elise. But I don't think anyone expected him to be the player that he's been this season. He's been remarkable. He's probably been the best player overall. And we've all known he's a talented player, but this season, he's got 10 goal contributions in 7 games, which at any level for any player is just remarkable. And some of the goals he scored as well. My God, he has been playing out of his skin so far this season. Can you top that, Justin?
I can. I definitely can. I think Sorba Thomas is the bigger breakout star of the season. I think he's come from non-league. He came from Boreham Wood, and the way he started the season at left wing back, he was basically covering for Harry Toffolo, who was out injured at the time, and he's been a star. The amount of chances he creates, his set piece delivery, the numbers he produces, his ability to take on opposition fullbacks. He's got the whole package, and he's going to go very, very far. He definitely tops John Swift for me because he came from non-league.
It's very impressive how much he has managed to make that jump up, and he has been a chance-creating machine this season. I'm a big Sorba Thomas fan, but for me, John Swift, considering he's scoring goals and setting up goals, he's just doing everything at the moment. And even more impressively, his teammates have not been pulling their weight at all. So he's been a one-man team so far this season for Reading, and long may it continue, I say. Justin, final question then. Finally, top and bottom. Who is your favourite for the title and your favourite to finish bottom this season?
For the title, it's got to be Fulham. I actually think they'll set the points record this season. I don't think there are going to be any teams near them. They've got everything in terms of their squad. They've got the fullback positions: Joe Bryan, Anthony Robinson, Kenny Tete, Cyrus Christie's still there. I think, yeah, there's a lot of quality in that side that just can't be topped. For bottom, Derby. It's got to be Derby, hasn't it?
Yeah, favourite, I'm going West Brom. I'm kind of and ahhing between Fulham and West Brom at the moment, because 1 minute Fulham look absolutely sensational. Next minute, West Brom look very efficient. I just can't pick between them at the moment, but I'm edging more towards West Brom because I think they've got a lot of depth as well. And I think they're very solid defensively. Set pieces, they're an absolute menace. Going forwards, they're just absolutely class. to finish bottom, it's hard to look past Derby, isn't it? Just because they've got that points deduction, which is seemingly on the horizon. If Forest don't pick up, then they could very well be challenging Derby for that wooden spoon. Peterborough are another side, actually, who I'd say are probably a contender for it. Would you agree with that?
Yep, defensively they look a mess. They've conceded 10 goals in the last 2 games that they've played. It's not looking good for them, and going forwards, they haven't hit the notes that everybody knows they can hit. They just haven't been that good going forward either. So yeah, it's a 3-horse race between them two. But with just with Derby's points deduction, that's going to be looming over them for a while. You can't look past them, can you?
It wouldn't surprise me if someone else got dragged into this wooden spoon race. But at the moment, those 3 are looking the most likely. And considering Derby, I reckon, will slowly fade away as the season goes on because their squad is just so thin. I'd still be edging towards Derby out of all of them. And that wraps it up for today's episode of The Stopwatch. Thank you for watching. We've been the Second Tier Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Second Tier Pod, and you can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, where we are releasing episodes twice a week, Thursdays and Sundays. So make sure you tune in then. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Drop us a like if you've enjoyed, and please subscribe if you'd like to watch more episodes like this one.